Hi, and welcome to Anime with Annie. In this video today, I'll be reviewing the Redo of Healer series and my first reaction to it. But before we get into it, subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon to never miss any updates from us. That said, let's have a closer look. Series Overview. Kyoru is a healer magician who endures recurrent sexual abuse at the hands of others. He travels back in time 4 years using his healing magic to get revenge on those who mistreated him. There are occasionally television programs that try to push the envelope. All of those borders depend on who is looking at them. I've tried continuous shows like this in the past, but my general tendency is to give them a shot before giving up. Redo of the Healer accomplished something slightly different, but was it enough to keep me watching from start to finish? When Redo of the Healer first came out, I assumed it was likely to be another one of those shows. Story. Kyoru is a boy who unlocks his power as a hero. It turns out that his capacity to heal people comes at a cost. When he cures someone, he becomes a part of them and feels all the sorrow and pain that preceded their damage. His body and inadvertently his intellect were nearly destroyed by that torment. Enter Princess Freya. Kyoru's refusal to use his abilities led to her growing resentment of him. She drugged him in order to make him more of a slave, whipping boy, or sexual toy. He was compelled by the medications to carry out her instructions and without his will, heal others. He had it difficult until they went up against the Demon Lord. He let his entire crew lay there hurt on purpose so he could fight the Demon King alone, after discovering the true nature of his healing power. He wiped her out with a single blow and then used the Demon Lord's Philosopher's Stone to transport himself back in time, where he would gradually recover his memories and exact retribution on everyone who had taken advantage of him. He focused his attention on Princess Freya first. Many people question why this series was so contentious, considering how subdued the first episode was. It was quite clear that rape would be used as the method of retaliation when the second episode aired, and Kyoru pulled a hot poker from a fireplace, and warned Freya that it was either his rod or this one, but it didn't end there. Kyoru used Heal to erase Freya's memory after he had satisfied his sexual desires and gave her the new name of Freya. Even his own name was changed to Kyoruga. After killing one, Kyoruga set off on his quest to exact revenge on everybody he had ever encountered. Along the journey, he makes a decision to purchase Satsuna, a slave. He is sex slave number 2 now that he's earned her trust. After winning Kura's trust, he used Freya to play Princess Freya in front of her once more. He also does the same with Eve, the girl who would grow up to be the Demon King, whom he would finally kill for the Philosopher's Stone. The main plot revolves around Kyoru and Kyoruga's quest for vengeance. Apparently, you can make a semi-decent program by mixing in a ton of sex scenes, a few action sequences, and a dash of plot. Characters. Kyoru. I'm not sure if I can add anything to what I said earlier, given that his entire past serves as the show's storyline. I will argue that having a tragic hero, or possibly an anti-hero / villain, as the central protagonist is exciting. Though you identify with him, you also find yourself rather repulsed by his actions. But Kyoru is genuinely guilty of rape, unlike Nofumi from the Rising the Shield hero. He doesn't care that he's extremely shady, cunning, and outright manipulative. He will do almost anything if the only objective is to exact retribution. Freya. She is a horrible person who treats each one beneath her with such contempt as Princess Freya. She was joyful when she first encountered Kyoru in his village after he discovered his superhero abilities, but she soon developed a slight dislike for him after learning that he was a healer, especially after the king showed some interest in him. The moment Freya lost control was when he resisted using his abilities. She considered drugging, beating, and raping Kyoru every day to be little more than a game, an utterly vile woman who received far more than she deserved. She became this perky girl who would do whatever Kyoru said after having her memory erased. She underwent a significant shift in demeanor, and dare I say it, turned cute. Even still, you couldn't help but be aware of all the horrors she had brought about, even how different she had become. A mind-controlled and uneducated person, a just punishment, no doubt. Satsuna. Kyoru bought a slave named Satsuna. Prior to Kyoru's assurance that she might exact revenge on the troops who raided her community, she possessed an explosive temper. The kingdom would break into the homes of beast folk like her, abduct them, and auction them off because they were nothing more than slaves. Satsuna led an assault, slashed an army, and covered the entire camp in blood. Satsuna became faithful to Kyoru after keeping his vow and pledged to stand by him at all times. Despite her troubles with anger, Satsuna is a really fun and adorable girl. She also has a somewhat monotone voice, but there are enough inflections to distinguish her from other characters who fit the same mold. In fact, she was the character in the show that I enjoyed watching the most, so I'm gonna name her the best female of the series. Freya. She is a Johori Kingdom knight that pursued Kira following the events of the massacre that he and Satsuna organized. In order to show Kuria that Princess Fleur is not actually dead as had been claimed, when she comes around him, he has Freya reprise her act as the princess. In her role as Fleur, she persuades Kuria that the kingdom she represents is evil. She becomes slave number 3 after acknowledging the folly of her ways the entire time and swearing loyalty to Kyaru. Although Kyaru primarily utilizes her to go collect information, she isn't really around all that much. Eve. The ideal female for me would have been Eve if Satsuna hadn't been there. She is there to satisfy your need for lollies, but she won't immediately get involved in Kyaru's small flings. When compared to the other girls, Eve seems more subdued and ashamed of what Kyaru is doing to them. As she watches them all engage in activities, she will hide behind a partially closed door and enjoy herself. She makes a valiant effort to appear innocent, but you can tell that she wants a piece of the action. It is simply adorable that she is so unhappy about it. Furthermore, it just gets better when you consider that this girl is destined to become the demon ruler. As long as he has access to the Philosopher's Stone, Kyaru pledges to aid Eve in her quest to become the Demon Lord. They agree to his proposal, seal the contract, and Eve joins Kyaru's harem as a newcomer. Overall review. For me, the show was rather simplistic. On the one hand, the story setup and idea were actually quite excellent, but after that, not so much. The plot of the show quickly reduces to gathering the harem and exacting that vengeance, with random sex scenes intersped. The scenes themselves were so haphazard, in fact it appeared as though the studio was simply adding them, because they thought the show had gone too long without another one. The situations weren't truly let into, okay, looks like we're having sex now was the response. The idea that there was a censored version of the show was one thing that bothered me. The characters were hidden by enormous black fuzzy regions and everything else in between, which begs the question, why? The only things you can see when watching the uncensored version are body parts. Apart from that, the non-ecchi anime did not subject itself to any form of censorship and always showed it. Have you ever seen anything that should have been censored? For example, the viewer never sees Kuro's privates during a particular sex act section. You just witnessed it happening in the air. So it raises the question, what was the purpose of the censorship? Although the series won't win any prizes, I will admit that it was a little bit better than I'd anticipated. However, since you're not expecting much, it's difficult to not be amazed when it manages to keep your interest. Despite this, I believe that viewers may still skip the series and yet feel secure in the knowledge that they didn't miss anything noteworthy. No matter what anyone says, this will keep your attention. Sex and action tends to do that. And that concludes my review of the redo of Healer anime series. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to like and subscribe to my channel Anime with Annie for more such exciting anime content and reviews. And please leave comments about what you thought of today's video. And remember, have an Annie-mazing day.